but there was a few people. I know Herbert was one, I was one, and maybe somebody else.
Me being 40, what the hell was I thinking?
That's
and all of us would be
incredible.
wasted out of our minds, staying out all night.
That's just hip hop royalty right there.
That is my biggest claim to fame with you.
Hey there, it's me, Roxy Cottontail. You might know me as a DJ, artist, designer, and New York City party promoter, or from my bunny logo. I'm putting all that on the table and writing about the years that transformed music and the New York City scene. I've interviewed 250 friends and colleagues I admire. I ask all and reveal all. Please join me and the Tales to rediscover the 90s and the Y2K magical landscape of music, art, technology, and streetwear. This is Roxy's Tales.
So first off, tell us your name.
Fiona Bloom. That's my name. I don't have a stage name. I don't have a persona. This is me. It's Fiona Bloom. Although I am also called MF Bloom.
My guest this week on Roxy's Tales is Fiona Bloom. An institution in the music industry, Fiona Bloom and her agency, The Bloom Effect, has fought for emerging artists and continues to champion the independent music scene with a passion beyond logic for over 30 plus years. Her dedication to music, whether it's a rapper, a DJ, or a Welsh singer-songwriter you've never heard of, Fiona continues to explore, promote, publicize, and mentor the underground world of music. I'm fortunate to call her a friend, a guiding light, and trusted advisor. Without further ado, Fiona Bloom.
And what do you do? Who are you? What have you done?
I am a serial entrepreneur. I mean, I've had several companies over the years. I think my first company, I was 19 that I ran, a little hustle on the side that became full-on money for me when I was back then doing just party promoting and in Atlanta, Georgia. I was also a radio disc jockey. I had a wildly popular show, a hip hop show on community radio. I moved to New York because Daniel Glass at the time, who was the president of BMI Chrysalis, had offered me a job as a marketing manager. So I left everything in Atlanta, my successful party promoter gig and my radio DJ voice. I left it behind and started up shop at Chrysalis doing marketing. And my first project was Gangstar, Hard to Earn.
Wow.
Guru, rest in peace, and DJ Premier. That was sort of a short-lived job because it only lasted about a year. But without going too much into all the detail, then I went into an indie rock label, started doing PR for that label, then started 321, where I signed Black Alicious, the Big Just from Company Flow, because at the time, Raucous had just started. I tried to sign Company Flow, but Raucous...
Company Flow, Def Jux?
Yeah, Company Flow is LP, but LP and Big Just and Mr. Len were the three guys from Company Flow. Yeah. And this is in 1997. And then LP went on to start Def Jux, and Big Just came over with me to start Subverse, where we signed MF Doom. So, fast forward to here. I mean, the Bloom Effect is my latest, entrepreneurial endeavor. It's a one-stop shop because I basically use my skill sets and talents of everything that I've learned as a DJ, as a musician as well, because I'm a musician, pianist, a violinist, learning from that to DJing, to marketing, to party promoting, to developing artists throughout my career. I realized I could use all of that skill set and bring it into a one-stop shop with this company called The Bloom Effect. So presently, that's what I do: international marketing, playlist promotion, PR, both digital and traditional, what's left of that, international touring, consulting, producing events, curating, whatever it is. I basically can do it. I mean,
you're like
I have access.
The water, the sun, and the fertilizer, because you make things grow and bloom.
That's hence the name, Bloom. It's that magic. You know about the magic. You create it too with the cottontails,
The position at Joe's Pub really bonded us in a whole other way.
Yes. So I came across you in two ways. I like to know that I had my finger on the pulse back then. I don't now. It's impossible. I mean, there's too many scenes happening. It's nothing like it was. You had cool scenes and it was like a few of them. Now you have a gazillion things that aren't even scenes. There's no culture. There's no life, blood in anything anymore. It's very sad. So back then there were those few scenes. And I have to admit, well, you were just getting started. I didn't miss anything because you were so underground. How would I have known? I mean, I like to think I was underground, but evidently not that underground because I didn't know that you were doing these parties. I had no clue that you were doing like the Lower East Side, grungy, parties. So I don't know how we actually met, like whether I came to came to a party, or if we got on the phone and chatted and there was something there. And then Joe's Pub at the time, I was leaving and I was like, oh my God, I'm going over to TVT Records, Little John Pitbull, Yin Yang Twins. And I didn't want to leave Joe's Pub in a bind with this late night series that I was really kicking ass with, doing really, really well. Jen Lyon handed it over to me. And I was like, I've got to find somebody. And at the time, you and I had chatted. I maybe met you in person a couple times. And I thought, oh my God, this is perfect. You're perfect. She's going to kill it for you. I promise you. It's late night. It's what she does. She's got this audience. It's growing. They're eating out of her hands. There's something going there. Trust me, it's just going to explode. And then I remember them saying, all right, Fiona, let's do it. You got the gig. And then you spent like hours with me at my place. And we were just going through the book of like all the different contracts. And
you would have to, I remember those event sheets that you would have to fill out to keep everyone on the same page, and like based also on like the response you were getting, how much security you needed to book and stuff like that. And it was such a learning curve for me. I didn't feel qualified at all. I don't know if it was you that put a couple people on that were going to potentially interview and get this job, but there was a few people. I know Herbert was one, I was one, maybe somebody else.
I think you're right. I think I did tell Herbert because I was friendly with him. Yeah. I mean, I really wanted you to get it, but I did recommend a couple people because they were asking me, could you, you're leaving, could you recommend some people? So it wasn't just you, but I pushed you. I really pushed you.
You did.
Yeah.
And this was one of the first showcases that I did at Joe's.
Yeah, but that was Diplo, and I knew about Diplo and Holotronics through you. Like I was on everything else, but I knew, and Spank Rock, I knew through you. But all the others, MIA, I was already on too. And so, I mean, you did the show, but I had heard about MIA. I'd heard of, I knew Santi Gold. I knew a lot of those artists that you were bringing in, but Holotronics, I had completely slept on. Diplo, I've met for the first time with you.
This is an event we did together in Philly.
Oh my God, we did
this at Philly, World Cafe Live. I think this was 2006.
Yeah, I can't believe it. And I can't believe you got that grills, that bling.
Yeah, you saw that one? That was this one. That's because you introduced me to Gabe.
I know. Well, because Gabe was the one that told me about you.
This was iconic because we had grills made. You could get fitted for your grill at Sweat.
Yeah, it was one of you talk about the highlights of every party that we've done or every party you did. That release event with the Get Your Grills was like one of the hottest ones that stand out in my mind forever. I mean, it was packed. We had the grills. It was unique. It was the dope book. Combat Jack has passed away since then. I mean, it's so iconic. He became one of the biggest podcasters in hip hop.
So what were the important moments for you that stood out from either coming to my events, us collaborating on events?
Well, I love my 40th birthday, Sway, with the flyer. You have that flyer somewhere, don't you?
Yes, I do. This is you opening presents.
Me being 40, what the hell was I thinking? Like that's at 40, you're not supposed to be doing that stuff anymore. Like, I'm surprised I'm still alive, but anyway, I'm completely better now. I'm a nun now compared to what I was. But the 40th was definitely a standout moment. Honestly, one of my most favorite moments with you, party-wise, collaborating, was frigging Winter Music Conference with Spank Rock.
Oh my gosh.
And I'll never forget, we shared a frigging hotel room with Naeem and what's his face? I can't remember.
Like three boys, three young
boys, 5 of us crammed into this room. The sink, the toilet overflowed. We came in and we were like underwater. All of our shit was done. Like, thank God we had our laptops with us because everything else was
crazy.
We had to throw everything away. We did so many Joe's Pubs events. I mean, I can't even remember half the Joe's Pub stuff we did. Did we do anything at South by together, or did you just go to South by? Did we?
No, I don't think we did, but we should have.
I don't know why we didn't. Oh, I got Boots involved at that. Yeah, because I was working with Boots at the time. Remember, I got Boots into because I worked on a few partnerships and branding for us before branding became a thing. Remember? Like, this was early days. Well, you did too. Obviously, you were doing your own branding, but but other brands I would try to bring to the table to get us money. So I remember Boots, I don't know if they gave us money, but they gave us all those goodie bags. And then there was a couple of other events I brought money to the table. They printed our flyers for free.
Sure.
There was a lot of that stuff we did together where I was able to bring,
Good
some
sponsors.
financial support.
We are like children here. Look at this. I
Honey,
found emails too where you're like, you're so photogenic and
oh yeah.
you're blowing up.
Yeah, I just loved your branding and your colorful, your logo and your stickers were everywhere. I remember seeing your stickers on the Lower East Side all over the place, and I would always just smile really wide. Three people that I loved meeting from you was obviously Bugsy, because we became quite friendly after that. And then obviously Sam and Jules, because I didn't really know B. Jules had existed at the time. And they were just, obviously she was just getting started. But, I've watched her growth meeting through your parties. And then it was your parties that inspired me to get into Mixtape Riot.
This photo's from Mixtape Riot. Was this also your birthday?
So we did my 40th at Sway and then my 40th with Mixtape Riot. Let me tell you, that was a very depressing time. Kadeem got robbed. He had all the cash that night. My intern, Milena, such a cute girl, she was handling the money at the door. We made about $1,700. I was so excited to spread that money. We were getting $400 a piece, which was a nice birthday gift for me. He frigging got robbed. We didn't see a dime of that $1,800.
That's the one with Santi, right?
Yes. Santi, Kudo, Akudu, Spank Rock, CX, Crack Attack. Remember the CX craziness?
Yeah.
I mean, that was a massive, the Fat Baby. Baby, I almost fell off the railing. I was so drunk. I was emceeing over the railing. I've got a picture of me over the railing, actually. That was kind of dangerous, up high on the balcony. I almost fell.
That night.
Yeah, I almost fell. But yeah, there she is. But anyway, so that was an incredible, my whole 40th being with you was incredible.
Work encompassed a lot of where you went and what you did, but what other places were you going to? What other parties were where were you going?
I was going to quite a few Mad Decent parties. I remember the Mad Decent parties. I remember the Fool's Gold. So the whole Nick Catch Dubs, I obviously got friendly with him through you. Shameless was doing all those parties. I didn't meet Shameless through you. I already knew Seth.
Yeah,
I knew Fridge magazine. I mean, I was buying ads with Fridge, with Doom, with Black Alicious, with all my bands. We were spending money with his magazine, so I already knew him.
Seth was working with Green Lantern when I met him.
Yes.
But what was Fridge? Was Beef Fridge or was Seth?
No, Seth was Fridge, and it was a skateboard magazine.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
So Beef and Seth knew each other from Fridge skateboarding, and then they started Shameless together. Yeah. And so, but I would see them at your parties or see Beef at all your parties, and it was cool because I'd be like, "Yo, what's up?" Because we already knew each other, so it was like fam. So I saw a lot of different family members of friends of mine back in the day at your parties. So it would always be sort of a reunion because that was such a scene. I was. Me, I was chameleon. I'm like weaving in and out of different scenes.
Because you knew the guys from Frank 151 from Atlanta.
Very, very well. No, not from Atlanta. The Malbon Brothers I knew just from doing hip hop all day long. Malbon Brothers I advertised in Frank 151. I'd spend money when I had the 321 records, when I had Subverse, when I had Subversive School, when I was throwing my hip hop parties at SOBs. They just came through to every single event, and I'd come through to every one of their events. So I was doing all of that still whilst hanging out at the Frank 151 parties, your parties, Mad Decent parties. Raucous was doing a few parties here and there. Z-Trip was coming into New York and doing parties. And then Fat Beats was doing parties. I was hanging out with the Fat Beats crew. I was hanging out with Bobito's crew. Bobito had a place called Footworks. So I was weaving in and out of all those different scenes.
Around that time, or maybe like right before we met, Fader Cornerstone was doing events in Brooklyn, and they did Dizzy Rascal. Did you go to that?
I was all over it because, with me, I was into grime. I loved Wiley and Kano and Sway and, Skepta. I was the first to bring Skepta here. I brought Skepta to the Knitting Factory like 15, 18 years ago.
And so how many times do you think we collaborated together?
At least 20 shows at Joe's Pub, maybe more. And then after Joe's Pub, I would say, gosh, I mean, well, obviously we did the winter music thing, we did Philly, but there was a few Sway things, like not just the grills one, not just my birthday party, but I feel like there was a couple other things with Sway. What I loved about this scene with you, and in general, the times back then, nothing was forced. Like you didn't go in and do a business meeting, it was just like having a drink, smoking, whatever, and just coming up with some just cool ideas that just then acted upon. It was all everything was just organic.
It's like, I like your vibe, you like mine, let's do something cool together.
Do this. Yeah, this is so, we should just put our hats together and make it happen. Let's do it. Next thing you know, you're designing the flyer, I'm already promoting it to the press because I'm a publicist, right? So we worked really well together because I could promote your events. It was easy.
Sure did. What you did for South by Southwest and the artists that you brought there, and how much of an impact you had early on.
Started going to South by in 1990. So
1990?
Yeah, so pretty much the third
Wow.
year it existed, the third year. And it was super cool because it was like just 400 people. It was maybe 75 bands. And it was just the cool of music industry.
That's
And all of us would be
incredible.
wasted out of our minds, staying out all night and just enjoying the atmosphere and discovering music. I realized that it's a rock festival and there's very little anything else. And South by called themselves a music festival, not a rock festival, but music. So I'm like, where's the rest of it? So at the time I was so heavy onto the hip hop, and they had a little bit of local rap, like all this rap stuff. So there was the chopped and screwed element, like you could feel like the gangster part, but also the screwed, before really screw became a big deal. It was like early days of screw, which you were doing too, which you brought to New York, screw.
Well, just later on.
Yeah, no, much later on, of course. But I'm saying we heard it back in the 90s, but we didn't really know that it was the scene that it was. So the first thing I decided to do was bring a rhyme sayers showcase to South by. And within that rhyme sayers showcase, I also put on People Under the Stairs and Dilated Peoples. And so it was Atmosphere, but even then Atmosphere wasn't that big. I mean, this was early days. We're talking 1997, 1998. So before Matt was there. I think Matt might have been in the audience. I'm not sure. I can't remember because that's not how I met him. And all of a sudden, the scene at South by just really took off. The next thing you know, South by wanted more hip hop from around the country, not just Texas, but then it was Minneapolis and all these other places, which is where Rhyme Sayers is. And next thing you know, I started producing events there, Subversive School, Subverse, and bringing all the company flow and just starting to bring all these acts to South by. And I think that's how I ended up meeting Matt, was because Mecca ended up leaving South by and Matt became the actual booker for hip hop at South by. So I was dealing with him going forward.
I met Fat Lip at some point, and I was like, you have to, like, that's just hip hop royalty right there, And I was like, just floored. And there was many times that I played with Africa Bambaataa and the Cool Kids, and that was like the newer version of the old, pop.
Danny Castro, me, Anthony Marshall, Blue. We had collabed together to bring this Eminem show, his first show in New York. But unfortunately, Dr. Dre grabbed him the day before he was supposed to come to New York. So we couldn't do the show with him. Wow. But that was a great show because we ended up having Marley Marl was there. I flew Benny B out from Oakland to DJ the party. But I did a lot of stuff with Lyricist Lounge. When you said, where did I hang out? So while I was hanging at your events, on the flip side, the pure hip hop, I was doing a lot of parties with Lyricist Lounge and hanging out at a lot of their parties.
Because wasn't Lyricist Lounge happening at Joe's too?
I brought them into Joe's, yeah.
Yeah, because I remember in the transition of, there was bookings that you had created way before I had come along.
Yeah.
Before you left, you tried to book out as much as you could.
Yeah. I did the first Jasmine Sullivan show. I brought Jasmine Sullivan to Joe's Pub, and I had to take Missy Elliott to a private VIP area because Missy came to see Jasmine.
That's amazing.
And she was 17. Oh, Jasmine's huge now, Jasmine Sullivan. Many firsts, but like you, I mean, you've many firsts as well. But I loved our collaborations. I mean, honestly, Roxy, the sad part about you and I would have, and I had told you this years ago, I would have died to have had a more professional relationship with you, in the sense that it was a more formal partnership. You know, our stuff was very loose together. You'd pull me into stuff, or I'd tell you about some ideas and we collabed. And like I said, very organically. But I was so shy about saying those things to you because I felt a little intimidated. And I don't know why I felt intimidated. It was more because, you know, I'm getting older now, not now today, but even then, feeling older. You know, your parties skewed very young. I was always the oldest at the parties. I didn't always look the oldest, but, you know, but people would know I'm the mama of the party. You know, I'm the older chick at the party. I don't think it was obvious because, I mean, I was still cool, and you definitely had other people that were older, but I was the one regular that was always, you know, everybody was 20, you know what I mean? Like your kid, everybody was 20, 25. I mean, granted, I'm 42 there. I don't look 42
No.
there. You know what I mean? Like I'm still, you know, but you do age, and I was drinking a lot, you know, and that does do it to you. And, you know, what you saw at the parties was me, you know, I'm not going to be
like a behind the scenes magic maker, and no one knows that. And that story needs to be told.
Yeah. So, but you know, I don't do this for the stardom or for the notoriety. I do this for the love. I do this for the passion. I do this for the community. I've always been about that, you know. You know, you are a lot more enterprising than I ever was, because you got it from day one. You understood the value of branding. You understood that very early on.
Yeah.
Even if you didn't think about it all the time conscientiously, you knew. You instigated stuff. You were calculating. You were
I knew it once, you know, because Nick Ketchdubs did my amazing logo. And I knew this when I saw this, that it was going to make a mark. And that really hit home for me, because I was like, now I have something that people can remember. Well, I want to know what bands or artists I introduced you to.
Well, as I've mentioned, Holotronics, right? You know, low budget, and Nick Ketchdubs, Fool's Gold. I mean, I didn't know about him. Nip Diplo. I mean, that's one guy I was sleeping on, but that's Holotronics, right? That was Holotronics. Yeah. The whole Baltimore gutter music. Okay, gutter music. You're from Baltimore, that area. You know, I knew about all these other scenes. You know, I knew the Yay area. You know, I knew what was going down in Texas, but I had no clue about gutter music. And I love that kind of music, that party music, that, you know, flow, I mean, that was the stuff before drill ever is, you know, like that was the sound. And that all came from you. I mean, I couldn't get enough of it. Wasn't A-Track through you? Like, I feel like I came across A-Track through you. So
I was booking him first. I mean, he was Kanye's DJ, but he wasn't playing downtown New York parties.
Yeah. And I wasn't really into Kanye as much that I'd be like, oh, A-Track. So I definitely knew A-Track through you.
I was booking Kadeem like very early on. Bugsy introduced me to him.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. If it wasn't through you, I wouldn't have done Mixtape Riot. And to this day, Mixtape Riot's one of the dopest parties ever to come out of New York.
Yeah. What did you introduce me to?
My God. I mean, fuck. I mean, well, British, I think British grime, because I don't think you were, you know, I felt like the gutter music was very equivalent of the grime and the sounds of gritty Brixton. So I'm pretty sure I introduced you to that. I mean, I know we didn't do more than Sway, I don't think, but I remember telling you about all these dope artists, and you'd be like, wow, I love it. And Dizzy, I mean, I know you saw Dizzy with the fader, but I almost feel like I had told you about Dizzy too, because I'd been on to Dizzy since day one.
Yeah.
And Sway and Dizzy were tied. I'm pretty sure, you know, you heard about Dizzy through me as well. Pretty sure. Definitely Kano. That whole scene was going on simultaneously.
You know who else I loved was the band from Israel.
Oh, Terry Poison.
Terry Poison.
Who Petite has become a huge electronic artist.
Oh,
Petite,
really?
whatever her name is, the blonde, the beautiful blonde French girl in the band. Remember the Terry Poison? So it was
amazing.
It was Jeremy Ascari did those parties in Tribeca Grand. John Perellis, New York Times.
Yes. At South
That's
by
my
Southwest.
claim to fame.
Remember
That-
at South by,
Honey,
you stopped
that's
in the
my
street.
that is my biggest claim to fame with you. And the only reason why I say that, it's not the biggest, but I joke around. The only reason why I say that is because New York Times, iconic, John Perales, legendary rock journalist from the 60s. You know, it doesn't get bigger than that. And I'll never forget his expression. Roxy, Roxy, nice name. Nice to meet you. And then he wanders off. And then, you know, I stalk him again later at a fader party, telling him about you. And then years later, he bumps into me at South by and he goes, you know that Roxy Cottontail girl you introduced me to? I'm like, yes, John. He's like, she's everywhere. That was my claim to fame. He's like, Fiona, he goes, you're always there first. And I said, yeah, tends to be the case. Honestly, Roxy, so low, I mean, I'm sure the list goes on who I've introduced you to, because
it does.
You know, it has to.
You were one of my first mentors.
Yeah. So I was trying to school you and teach you the game and tell you about certain industry that, you know, even if you're not going down that route, you should at least know who these players are.
What were the most memorable or iconic interactions you had at this time?
Well, I mean, one of the biggest interactions that became iconic, or will be iconic if it ever comes back, is, like I mentioned, the mixtape riot, right? I mean, mixtape riot, bringing that collective together with Jules, and B Jules really not even doing, it was just, everything was so underground at the time, and looking at where everybody is now is just amazing to me. So definitely them, definitely, becoming more friendly with the whole Mad Decent people and meeting Steve Aoki, I think, from that as well. During that era, I met Peaches, fell in love with her music. We didn't have a rapport necessarily, but we knew each other. We were engaging, here and there. I tried to do some shows with her at South by Southwest, didn't quite work out. But so that was happening at that time. Also meeting Amy Winehouse during that time. Wow. I met Amy Winehouse in 2001, 2002. So that had a big effect on me as well, Amy Winehouse. And then meeting you was incredible because I was able to share all the things I had done with the hip hop stuff that I discovered all those years back. So, I mean, Doom wasn't huge when you and I knew each other, but then you get to see the rise of Doom as you went on, right? So,
yeah, he was on one of the Rock the Bells like shows, because I was on that tour for summer with kids and Naeem, and I was very intimidated by him, even though I heard he was an incredible, nice,
sweetheart guy.
Yeah,
he was.
But I think it's just like the masked man, I was very intimidated.
You know how many metal faces we had to buy him because he kept losing them? Or either they'd break his metal mask or he'd lose them.
Oh my God. So what were like an event from that era you would like to relive?
One thing was definitely our Miami show with Spank Rock. I mean, that was one of the most memorable experiences ever, to just watch a star on the rise, a star in motion, just happening, and just seeing and feeling the excitement right in front of us, and just being in a whole scene down in Miami at the time that was just so cool, not what it is now, and just watching all of it unfold. I would just love to relive that party we did together. Love to relive that. But then more importantly, I would love to relive that MF Doom party that I put together at SOBs during CMJ in 2001. Wow. Because it was a couple of weeks, or not a couple of weeks, but it was like 6 to 8 weeks after 9/11, which the whole world had, New York had just, we all were terrorized out of our minds, and nothing would ever be the same again. Yeah. But nonetheless, I always had thought, is this not tasteful to do it so soon? Because I remember CMJ was supposed to be a week later, and then they made it 3 weeks later, then it was 6 weeks later. So I went on and did it as planned. And I'll never forget MF Doom, the show. He staged a fight, a knife fight with blood everywhere. The SOB's lights had come on, bodyguards were everywhere. They called the cops, they turned the light, they stopped the show because they literally thought that somebody on stage had been knifed, because you saw the MC, not Doom himself. Doom went into the MC, the other MC, also in a cape and a mask, so you didn't know who was who. And everybody thought he had killed somebody on stage. Blood was spewing everywhere. It was paint. It was frigging red paint. And it's to this day still talked about.
Yeah, it's odd to think about, like, will the future generations not have a time where, you know, we got to experience something in real time. We got to truly live in the present.
Without having to worry about our phones all the time. Because
And
now you have to everything that you see, you want to capture first and then post it. So you're not even realizing the moment because we're too busy frigging with our thumbs trying to get the Instagram reel or the selfie and you're actually missing the magic because you're trying to capture it. You can't fucking capture the magic. It just happens. You can't box it up. You can't put it on with a bow. You can't put a button on it. It's just, it has to breathe on its own in natural force. And because of that, and because of social media in essence really has destroyed the magic.
the experience that I had at Panorama at Berghain in Berlin, which is an amazing club that opens on Friday and closes on like Sunday morning or Monday mornings. And there's no last call that entire time. But they check your phone. They were checking my phone when I first went in like 2005 or 6. And then I think they started putting like a sticker or something over the phone. But, you know, will we reach a point where like, it's like to experience that magic, you have to fucking take someone's phone away from them? I mean, it might come to that point.
It might come to that point. Yes, yes. Even if I don't see you for 5 years, Roxy, I know now that after seeing your posts and being like, oh, I'm so proud of her and leaving a comment, I know I can text you or call you 5 years later and you're going to respond.
Yeah.
We have real history.
Yeah. Well, Fiona.
Yeah, so great. Oh my gosh.
Thank you so much. Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, no, you're welcome. This was a walk down memory lane. It was just as cathartic as this is for you as well. I mean, this is just so great for me. So thank you.
Yeah, definitely.
Thanks for hopping by. That's it for this week. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, comment, and stalk. Bounce, little kitty.